The next awardee that we want to honor is this year's Massachusetts Teacher of the Year, Anne-Marie Osheyack. It is with great pleasure to introduce you to our valued friend and colleague, Anne-Marie, the 2014 Massachusetts Teacher of the Year. Last May, when she was named Teacher of the Year, Anne-Marie was a 9th grade English language arts teacher at Central High School in Springfield. Today, she is a 9th grade ELA teacher at Northampton High School. Many of you may know her as Anne-Marie Betancourt, but last summer, not long after the honor was announced, Anne-Marie got married, hence the name change. So, it is clear that much has changed for Anne-Marie since she was named Teacher of the Year, but much has not. Unsurprisingly, there has been no change in the deeply held principles that guide Anne-Marie in her interactions with her students, her fellow educators, and her community. Anne-Marie believes in the power of the written word. She is a master of transferring her love of books, literature, and great writing to her students and motivating them to be their best. Anne-Marie, who is a graduate of the New Bedford Public Schools, has been in the classroom for 8 years, and she knows a huge amount about our profession. Her idealism and her empathy help her to engage with her students in a very personal and meaningful way. She does this by carefully adhering to her motto, "Students don't care what you know until they know that you care." For Anne-Marie, this is indeed language to live by. During the past year, she has been outspoken about the pressures that her students are under today, and she has had a lot to say about the value of teaching in urban schools. In fact, the need of urban schools and the need to fight negative perceptions about them were among the reasons she got into education in the first place. But rather than tell you more about Anne-Marie's path to teaching or her time as Teacher of the Year, I'll now turn the microphone over to her so she could tell her story. So please join me in welcoming Anne-Marie Osheyack, a proud member of the MTA and our 2014 Teacher of the Year.
I see Springfield and Northampton and New Bedford here today. Hi. I'll speak up a little bit. Is that better? Sorry. Good morning. Morning. First, I'd like to thank Paul Toner and the MTA for inviting me here to speak today. It's the end of Teacher Appreciation Week, so before I begin, I just wanted to take a moment and thank some teachers. My 4th grade teacher, Mr. St. John, is here today from New Bedford. You didn't know this at the time, but I was growing up in a house where my father told me that I should use my head for something other than a hat rack. And that when God asked for brains, I thought he said trains and said, "No thanks, I have a set." If he wasn't pleased with the homework I did for your class, he'd rip it up. And if he really lost his temper, he'd throw me against something solid. But your class came with mandatory membership into the stamp club. That hour we spent in the cafeteria each week looking at stamps was one extra hour that I didn't have to go home. Your class was the first one where I began to realize that school could save my life. Thank you for giving me a counter-narrative to the one I was receiving at home. A quick thank you to Mr. David Pepin and Ms. Deb Borden, also New Bedford High School teachers, for giving me the space and the confidence to write. Mr. Pepin pushed me into AP English, and Ms. Borden made me the editor of the Alpha, our creative writing magazine. Their passion and enthusiasm for all things literature was infectious, and I'm thankful for catching what they had. I thought I'd talk with you all a little bit this morning about the Common Core, but I don't want to talk about the ELA, the math, or science, or social studies standards. There's another Common Core that's been out for quite some time, and for some reason it has not made national news. I haven't even come across it on Diane Ravich's blog, which is saying something. Perhaps that's because it's not in print, and the assessment takes a lifetime to complete. This Common Core is already in place in every school, in every city, and in every state. These aren't a set of standards, but a set of teachers. For these teachers, there has always been a common set of standards that they've adhered to. They know the importance of close reading and analytical writing, and they also know the importance of love, laughter, hugs, high fives, and the daily, "Good morning, Omar, how are you today?" They are purposeful in their choice of literature, aware that the right book can not only challenge a student, but challenge a stereotype, and the lessons they teach not only cross disciplines, but cross the thresholds of their schools and into their students' homes and their lives. These teachers know that connected learning doesn't necessarily mean the use of technology. It means showing students that what they are learning inside the school also matters outside in the world, and not 5 years from now, but right now. I know, because I was lucky enough to have a few of them growing up in the Bedford Public Schools. When I was a 9th grader, school was not my priority. My first priority was figuring out how to stop my mother from sobbing each night at the table, worrying how her waitressing job was going to pay the rent that kept rising. My first priority was finding the longest, slowest way home so that I could avoid a confrontation with my brother that would end up with him throwing knives at my door. My first priority was surviving, and unfortunately, Raising Yourself 101 was not currently being offered at my school. Since my mother had to work from 3 to 11, there was no adult at home to go to for advice, no adult to check homework, and no adult to ask, "How was your day?" But there were those NBHS teachers, Mr. Pepin, Miss Borden. They always had a smile, they always had a room for me to work in, and they never, ever failed to ask how my day was going. This is the Common Core in action. Teachers do this every day without any mandate or any extra funding. The stakes are so much higher than any exam that is in place right now. For the Common Core teachers, assessment goes beyond any curriculum standards. Common Core teachers are experts at assessing. They assess how many students know how to analyze an author's style, and they assess how close Marquise is to not coming to school altogether, or whether or not Elizabeth's black eye was really due to a fall on the stairs or something else she's not telling. Common Core teachers know that a score on a test can't talk. It won't tell us the whole story. These teachers know that when a student like Dennis, who scores needs improvement, is only half right. Sure, he needs improvement in his writing. He also needs improvement in the safety of his neighborhood, his mother's coverage in her health insurance, and the availability of grocery stores within walking distance of his home. If you've been following the news lately, then you know that the Common Core has been under attack across our state and country. In my own hometown of New Bedford, test prep is triumphing over teaching, and scores are superseding the safety of staff and students. New hires are made based on obedience rather than experience. Scare tactics and bullying have even been used to try and disband this Common Core. Fortunately, the MTA and the unions realize how critical this core is for student success, so they have fought back against tyrannical superintendents and administrators. Quite frankly, more teachers should follow the lead of the NBA and speak up and vote no confidence for these anti-Common Core activists. So now when people talk to you about the Common Core, you have some extra information that you can give them. To my colleagues and former teachers in Northampton, Springfield, and New Bedford, please know that the most important Common Core always has been and always will be you, the teachers. Keep fighting the bureaucracy, keep speaking up for teachers and for students. Continue to vote no confidence for any superintendent, school board, and policymaker that tells you that you are the problem instead of listening to you for the solutions. No amount of technology will ever replace you because our students need humanity more than they need technology. The true assessment of your work will not be a single score tied to an evaluation or what is written about you in the Standard Times or the Republican, but the future of our world in the years to come. I am very hopeful, though, because from what the policymakers tell me, this Common Core is here to stay. Thank you.